Very good morning to all participants. Can you all hear?
Yes, ma'am.
Today we'll start with our second day, session 1. Here we have Dr. Ajit Kumar sir. Dr. Ajit Kumar is a postdoctoral researcher in Sonsal University, Seoul, South Korea. He has completed his PhD from the Department of Computer Science, Pondicherry University in 2018. He is working with Python since 2012 for his research work and other development work. He is also interested in web development, information security, and data science. Python is his language of choice for all the programming related tasks. He has been motivating and training students to adopt Python as his programming language. He loves to write and share the article about Python and its applications. He has published many articles in peer-reviewed international journal and has also presented and published his research in international IEEE and elsewhere conferences. He has delivered talks in many workshops, trainings, seminars, etc. Now, he is going to present in the title Introduction to Machine Learning. The proposed talk aimed to define the machine learning, the types of machine learning, etc. We welcome you, sir, for the presentation. So please go ahead, sir.
We could not hear you.
Sir, it's not audible, sir.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So, sorry for delay. It was Windows versus Linux again. So I was a Linux user. I have not used WebEx from a long time, so it was taking time. So I set up another machine within 10 minutes. So sorry for delay. So yeah, welcome everyone. So I will just share my screen. Okay, so this will be my title for I have to take a few more sessions, so I have given title very generic, like I will be introducing machine learning, and mostly I have focused on the practical overview. So there are like many theoretical things are there, but most of time I have found that people struggle with development and implementation. So that I will focus more, and I will be trying to give multiple dimension how we can implement and what are the problem and how you can solve it. So yeah, I am doing my postdoctoral now. So introduction have been given. So let's move. So I have outlined my presentation as a I will just give a brief discussion we'll have in starting, where I will be talking about how we have moved from programming to training. Then I will introduce machine learning in a very brief terms, and then I will just focus more on what are the data type, how we do the feature engineering, and how we represent different kind of feature. And then largely my presentation will be on hands-on using scikit-learn mainly, and many other supporting module from Python. So how we can process text, image, and other kind of data. So again, at the end, I will also talk about trend in machine learning. So let's get started. So when we started our computing, we have something like this. We have a processing machine where we give input, and then computer process, and we get the output. So this is our general computing backbone, where everything is working now. With input we process, and then we get the output. So like, and if we move further, so what we do now, we have now we have same processing. We give input, and then as a user we write programs, and then we get the output. So this thing is, if so, I think there is some issue. So what is here, we are trying to say that we again same input, but there is a user who write a program, and then we process that user and we get the output. But now, if you see, this is just normal how we write program. This kind of program will have lots of problem. So what we do, we go with something called, we have our input and we have our output also, we know, and then we have program. So this is what we do testing in normal development, software development. When we do, we have this testing environment. So this thing we will just remember. So this is normal programming where we give the input, there is a program written by user, and then there is a output. That was earlier. This program will not be successful. So industry have now something called testing from last 2-3 decades, where we test our program. Then we know our input, we know our output, and then whatever program we read written, that we just compare with the given input. The program should give you the output. But this have some issue, like code coverage and all these things are problem with testing. Similar thing, we'll see that it exists in our machine learning also.
Excuse me, sir.
Yeah.
So your
Hello?
voice is little bit low, sir.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I will
Thank
just, yeah.
thank you.
Sorry. So then in training, so now we have moved from programming to training, where the same thing we are again doing. We have our input, we have our output. So this PPT some issue. Just a minute. This PPT, just a minute. This PPT, I think got some issue with. Just a minute. Sorry, just give me 1 minute. Sorry. So this was the slide, that was some issue with slide. So what I was saying, that we have input, we have processing, and then we get the output. Now when we have input output and there is a program, and that if we are not testing the upper system, then it will be a problem. So now with programming and testing, what we do, we have output, we give the input, and we have a user program, but we test also. So when we move further, now we came to era where we talk about more than programming, then training, we say machine learning training, deep learning training, everything is now training. So what exactly we mean when we say training? So we have our input again, and we know what we want or what is the output, and then instead of we are looking for some program or model, with this input output we also pass methods or approach that we term as a like machine learning algorithm. Say suppose we have data about housing, and we have price of that house, and then we pass some regression model here to this system, this abstract system that we can call processing, that take these three input and then give us some output that we call model, and then with that model we can have a future prediction or future classification. So this is the training. So we have moved from programming to training. So if you see this training, again the same diagram, if we extend further, output, we can know that output some cases, and some cases we don't know. If we don't have output in our input, then we call that task as a unsupervised task. Otherwise, if we know input and we have output also, and we do this performance, then we call it supervised learning. So we have our approach like decision tree, regression, SVM, and everything. So why I have focused this session mostly on data. So there are different kind of data, or that is input to this algorithm, this abstract system of training, where we have text, we have image, we have video, we have audio, then we have like a numeric value in tables, different kind of like housing price, housing size, and everything. Then there are different kind of data also, like I was working on malware that is not fitting in this traditional data type, that is like binary file, executable file. So there are different kind of file also. So we convert this all input, and we know in text, say suppose if it's sentiment analysis, we have a line of text and we want what is the sentiment behind that line. So that is the output, say sad or happy. So input become our text and output is sad or happy. So we know the classes, so that is a classification task. We pass these two pair along with the selected algorithm, any algorithm or method we select from this group, supervised, unsupervised, or whatever our approach is, and then we pass to this abstract system. They take this information, this three pair of information, our input, output, and the algorithm, and then instead of the earlier when user human have to write the program explicitly, now this algorithm, this data and output, they create a output that we call model or machine learning outcome. So with that model we can again give any new text, and then that can give the class if it is trained as a classifier, or if it is trained as a predictor or regressor, then it will give predict some value, or if it is unsupervised, then it will give some kind of group. So this is how, if you consider earlier programming to moving to the training phase. Again, taking out from all the uh, details, if we have now in machine learning, in a very simple term, we have data and we train something. So that's what training I was explaining. So we trained, and then finally we get some output as a model, or we can call classifier. If it is detecting something, people call detector, or many kind of, if it is predicting something, people also call predictor. So that kind of term, that it gives some output. So we have everything is on data. So now data have become very important. So last 1 decade, most of work had been done on this part, training, where people were devising new algorithms to have better performance and to do the task. Recently, last 1 or 2 years, now again all the attention are being shifted back to data. So people are now talking about something called data-centric AI or data-centric machine learning, where the importance is given to prepare data properly. So that I will also discuss. So now if you again the same diagram, if you see, we have this kind of data, image, video, text, audio, tabular data, or other kind of data. That this data we cannot use directly for training. For training, we need to convert this data into some form, that some representation that it will be input to our algorithm, our approach. So that part we call pre-processing, and this is very important, how you perform your pre-processing task, that will impact the training part. If your pre-processing is faulty, then the training will be also faulty. It is like if you feed a wrong message to kid, that kid will grow like learning bad habits. So that's how similar to this. If we don't have proper processing, our model will learn wrong, because it is no magic. Whatever we are passing in data, whatever relation we are passing in data, whatever pattern exists in our data, same thing based on that training is being done, and then model is created. So we have to put more attention to pre-processing. So when we do pre-processing, if you see the from previous diagram, these all are uh, just individual data type. If you come to this, if you see that video we cannot directly input, so video is most of time converted again back to image as a frame by frame. All the video are converted to image, and then we do the image based processing. Similarly, audio have been also converted sometime to image. Sometimes there are different method to extract audio feature, and then text. So they have a fixed representation. Most of time, if you are working with traditional machine learning, then we try to create some kind of numpy array that will be like mostly all the value will be numeric. So all this data is converted to some numbers. That's what computer do. Computer work with the number. They calculate number, they add, they subtract, they multiply. Everything is number for them. So all this data finally have to convert it to some form of number. That is our feature extraction part. Or we after extracting the feature from this all, we also not all feature are useful. So what we have to do, we have to take the suitable feature that is used, that will be useful. So we select, and then after that this training is done. So this is our pre-processing and feature selection part. So when we done with this first part, that you can also give broadly as a data preparation part, then we have our training. So training, as I was saying, in normal programming, normal software development, we have testing. Similarly, when we train our model, we also test. So we cannot say once we train model and it is perfect. So we have to test, like what we do in testing. We know the input, we know the output pair if it is supervised. Then we, once we train the model, we try to give the new value, and we try to see what class or what value it is giving, the model is giving. If it is matching with our pre-known value, then we say it is correctly classified or correctly predicted. If not, then model have made some mistake. So we keep counting this, and we just try to take average, and we just finally give a performance value, like how we get our grading. Any exam we write, we get some percentage of marks like 70%, 80%. Similarly, every model, how correctly it classifies some new sample, how much percentage it is correctly classifying, that we give the performance. So that we do in our testing. So when testing done, maybe the testing result is very low, so suppose 60%, that is not acceptable for any task, that is like a random guess also. So then we do tuning. We try to change some parameter, some value, like when we have low mark in exam, we try to put more effort, like tuition and everything we do, and then we try to improve our performance in exam. Similarly, if model performance is not up to mark or not acceptable for the given task, then we do tuning. The algorithm have some parameter that we want to change, and see if alpha is not working, maybe beta value will work. Or if beta value 1.0 is not working, let's increase and see it have any impact. So different algorithm have different parameters, all works differently, and in tuning we try to tune all these parameters and see on which parameter value or which attribute value the model perform best. That is called our tuning. And then once we have done that, then again we have some holdout sample, like final exam, where we all students have come through mid exam and mid sem everything. In final exam, we again validate the student performance with some new question or new logic. So if they are performing well in that, then we award some certificate. So that is like validation set, where we have some data that have like lots of standard deviation, like samples are very different from each other, and we try to test our model in many given conditions. So that's validation. So from that we get again model. All this process I always give you a model, best performance model or worst performance model, but always this training and training part will have a model. So most of work is stopped there, model, that is research part. Mostly people report the model performance, how they are performing. So then we have to deploy also. So I will also focus some section where I will talk about how we can deploy this model. That's how we will build the product. If we have some good performing model, suppose you have performed a uh, diagnosis for cancer or some image processing method, you have come up with a very good model, there is reported result is in paper. But if you can deploy that model into some web application where any user can upload a diagnosis image and they can find out some reports, so that will be very helpful. So that for doing that kind of work, we have to deploy the model. So I will also talk about how we can do deployment. That's like one of the section I will do. So once we have deploy, then we can any new sample we can just test it and we can get the result. So that is like machine learning pipeline where we start with data preparation. We do model building, we can call, where we do training, testing, tuning, and validation, and then toward the end we do the deployment. So deployment is done. So it is also like our software engineering waterfall model where we do the iteration. So it is not like one-time process. This pipeline have to be repeated. Once we got new data, so again we will start retraining the model. So that kind of things is also there. So that's why we call it pipeline. So once this pipeline is ready, so we can just put a feedback forward network, and then just we can feed new data and we can retrain the whole pipeline again, so that over time our model performance will have more data and we will have better result. So that was like brief discussion about how we have moved from programming to training. So now the topic is machine learning. So it's like many people have given lots of definition about this. So first is like it's give computer the ability to learn without being explicitly programmed. So that was our first part of discussion where we were talking like earlier software development was about writing program for every input and output. So how we can achieve that output that program was doing. So that was written explicitly, but in machine learning we try to do the similar thing, but now we pass algorithm and we try to get based upon the model and algorithm, the machine have to find out the relationship between those input and output level x and y, and then we get that. So that is first definition. Second definition say it is like again computer program learn from experience. Experience is nothing but it is your data and that relationship with output variable, that is your class level or predictive value. So and everything in machine learning, every task is unique. You cannot have one classifier for all tasks. If you want to classify apple versus orange, that is like binary classification. If you have trained model, you cannot classify with like some other fruit. You have to make either multi-class classifier where you have given all kind of sample and you have given the label, then only. So it is very respective to the task T. So experience E and task T is like for particular domain or particular problem you have trained a particular model. And performance, the tuning, testing, validation, all I was talking about, that is nothing but performance of that model. So performance P, and it is performance is task T measured. So that is whenever we improve the experience E and we try to always have better performance. So our task is to have more experience to our model, that is more data, and try to get better value for our performance P. So that is, so these two are very popular machine learning definition. So it's have all this data for data training and performance. So your experience is data, your P is the measure, and T is the task, that whatever domain you are training your model. So supervised learning. Now I was talking in a starting also something called supervised learning when we know our data and the level. So suppose machine learning, we have mostly three kind of tasks where we try to know the classes of some. Say suppose apple versus orange is a classification problem. So given the feature of apple, size, weight, color, these all are the feature of fruit, and then we know that this is apple. So with that kind of thing, if we are doing with that is called classification. And if we know the label, so it is very similar to our previous diagram. So training text, document, image, all this training data we convert to the feature vector, because this raw data cannot be fed to any machine learning algorithm. So we have to convert into some feature vector And then if it is supervised, this is important for supervised, we have labels, and we pass this feature vector labels, that is like input, the upper part is input and the lower part is our output. We pass to that machine learning algorithm, and then this gives some model. So this is the training part. If you take this, or this is training part. The green arrow show the testing part or use. When we have developed this model, how we will use, again the same text document or whatever data is there, again similar way we will extract the feature vector, and then we will pass to our predictive model, and then we will get the expected level. So this green arrow show the how you use the model. The blue arrow is for training part, that is like preparation of the model. And then, so this is your supervised learning. This diagram is taken from scikit-learn, that popular library. So then there is another kind of task, that is we call unsupervised learning. So say both diagram, if you see, it is very similar to one another, only one piece is missing from one diagram. So if you see this level part, that is missing from this diagram. So that is the basic difference. When we do unsupervised learning, during training we don't have the label, we just pass the feature vector to machine learning algorithm, and then we have the model, and then we do the testing similar way. We don't have label, so this is unsupervised, we don't know the class. So what are the tasks is like this, what kind of task or performance or program we can do with. So suppose we have 200 people and we want to group those people into some, we don't know the what kind of grouping they are, maybe they are interrelated somehow. So suppose in Pondicherry University, most of time we have like thousands, 5,000 student. If you do this kind of unsupervised clustering, the in unknown group will come. So suppose North Indian people were there, South Indian, with North Indian multiple state people are there. So if we collect some feature on those basis, uh, by without any labeling any class, we will see that there are a group within those data. So that kind of task is there in these are used for many uh, real world problem also. Like we have lots of emails and we want to cluster those emails. Now if it is work related, like how our Gmail group our emails, so there are having 5 class, that is supervised also. Sometime the similar thing can be do in so unsupervised way also. So this is unsupervised learning. So in a later session we will see all are the algorithm. So I am just introducing what are the term. Then the third type of learning is reinforcement learning. So in earlier two, it is like training and this thing. This is little bit different, and it is like most of thing how we learn. It is also called a stick versus carrot kind of thing. So we have some environment and we have agents. So agent can be anything, and they take action. So suppose we are walking on a road, if we hit the wall, we never go that way. So similar thing, we are moving and then environment is our wall. If we move, we will get hurt or we will have pain. So the reward or punishment will be there. So again, based upon this reward and punishment, again we will relearn and we will see we should not follow that. So it is mostly like optimization kind of thing, where we keep repeating the task, and the reward or punishment will be like, say suppose reward is +1 and punishment is -1, and we have to reach from some source to destination. So in XY coordinate we are moving, and if every time we take a wrong turn, our punishment will be reducted. So how much a step we have to take to reach to destination. So that kind of setup we do. So where it will be useful, say suppose how robot will learn the environment in a office or factory setup. If we have a robot, either we can do a supervised training where we map everything, the walking lane, or we will put some strip and robot have to follow that strip. That is like supervised, you follow the yellow strip, that is supervised. If we want robot to be self-learning, we just expose robot to that room, they can just move and see the environment. If he hits something with distance or something, then they should avoid that. So likewise over time, so this is very repetitive and time taking process, but over time it is self learning, it will learn by itself over the learning the environment. So this is one another kind of learning. So mostly we do supervise and supervise, and some of the work we do reinforcement learning also. So those were like basic classes of learning. But now if you see, there are many terms that you will come across. I have just listed it. Semi-supervised learning. So semi-supervised name itself say that when we have supervised and unsupervised, like we have some data that is labeled and we build that model, and then we have some. So in supervised learning there is something called labeling. So what is labeling is the process when we give a label to the input vector. So suppose we have 100 image of apple. So in our system we have to input the feature of apple, and then every class label we have to put it is apple. So that is the labeling process, and that's one of the main limitation of supervised learning. We have to label our data. So suppose face detection or human identification in image, we need earlier. Now we have deep learning, so they are doing some unsupervised way also, but we have to label the data. So labeling is costly. To get rid of those kind of thing, now something called semi-supervised learning, where we try to start our model with less data, and based upon that data, again whatever unlabeled data is there, we pass to that model, and whatever label they are giving, based upon that we either accept those labels, or again if we put human in loop, then we can again relabel the data. So that kind of semi-supervised learning is also there. Then we have something called active learning, online learning, and ensemble learning, where we have more than one model together working, and their output we are just using. Then we have transfer learning. So I was saying task T. So now people are using a model trained for task T1. The same model having the feature, they can also try to use in task T2. So this is transfer learning. We have trained our model on some other experience, but if it is similar domain, say suppose you have movie review and then you have book review data. So if you have trained your model onto movie review data set, people are trying to use those into other kind of review also. So this kind of thing is also there, transfer learning. Then now there is self-supervised learning, deep learning, that is very popular and hot topic. And then something called one-shot learning, where we try to reduce the number of sample, that is number of experiences. With minimum experience, with with minimum experience we try to learn more. So these are different kind of learning, and you can have, like, this is the link, I will share PPT, so you can just go through this kind of learning from uh, so having said that, all these theories, so that is like very depth theory. We have to know many things before moving towards this. So what is the main challenge in implementation? So we have to test our idea, we have to train model. For that we need some support. So for machine learning we have lots of tools developed in recent years. One of the popular one is scikit-learn, that I will be demonstrating. Then for deep learning we have TensorFlow, PyTorch, Keras. Keras is also support other language, other platform. They have used Keras. It is for Microsoft framework. They also use Keras. R also internally use Keras. So these are. Then we have a Spark ML, that is for Java people. If you are doing programming in Java, you can look into a Scala. Torch is the mainly written in Lua. Now Torch Python support is called PyTorch. Then we have a very abstract framework that is called Hugging Face. In this, what they have done, they have taken all this training and testing and everything, and they have make it very simple to use deep learning or machine learning model. So that also you can explore. So for this talk we will be focusing more on scikit-learn. So this is your scikit-learn, very simple, very easy from previous supervised learning training. If you see, this is same diagram. So we have something X, so we just do all the feature processing as a transform, and then for training this is very simple. We have some classifier XYZ, any classifier you take, machine learning like SVM, decision tree, random forest, and then we have fit function. We pass our input, that is data X, and our output, that is class Y, and then it will do the training part. So this is very simple, and throughout all the module, even now it is becoming like acceptable term most of time. Fit means we do the training, so classifier we declare and we do output. So this just you have to remember, fit means training, and we pass. If it is supervised, we pass X and Y. This is also not mandatory, you can write any name. Instead of X you can write training, and y you can put like label, but this is like if you see any code or any document, x and y have been like traditionally used as a x is a input vector and y is your output vector level. And then once we have this training model is done, now this is very important. Many times I have seen people are struggling with this. Once they have model, how I can test new image. Say suppose I have trained apple versus orange classifier, now I want to test image apple image. So again you have to go through same feature processing, whatever you have adopted during training, the same feature you have to adopt during testing also. This is very important. Maybe many people will be knowing, but I have seen many people are struggling here. So if you pass, if you want, because if your model is trained with 10 feature of apple, then when you are testing, they don't know you are testing apple or anything. You have to just pass 10 feature in same way, float, integer, whatever you have training. So that's how it will test. So again the process should be same. Take the image, convert the feature vector, and if you have done feature selection in the top, again you have to do the feature selection here also. So that's you don't have to miss. The mismatch should be not be there. That is one problem is there when with the testing. Especially I'm talking about out of training test, you have equal and everything is properly done. But if you take a new one sample and you want to test it with your model, this have to be done. It have to be converted to the training kind of feature. So that is your scikit-learn. So why scikit-learn is very useful? So that is very simple reason. It is written very simple function. So every class, every classifier or every model have mostly 5 function, and it is same throughout different classifiers. So you don't have to remember different function for anything. So once you have trained with one algorithm, you can just use similar code with all other model also. So this is the syntax is very simple, and it is throughout consistent throughout all the like for feature, for class training, for testing, the syntax is very same, and it is open source. So open source, there are many software open source, but for scikit-learn it is very important, because now if you have some research paper have been published, some method have been proposed. So being open source, what is happening over time, those method have been imported to this scikit-learn. So that's how scikit-learn have grown from a basic library to this machine learning, like the de facto of machine learning framework. So all these open source contributor, they take accepted method and they again implement into scikit-learn. So scikit-learn, if you see, it have all the variant that is well known in the machine learning community. So that give you opportunity also. If you have your new method, you have proposed some feature selection method or new kind of feature, or if you have proposed some modification of any machine learning algorithm, there are chances that you can implement your method, submit to open source scikit-learn, and they will accept your model. If it is accepted, people will be using your model also, and it will be available with scikit-learn also. That's how scikit-learn have grown. So if you see, there are lots of variant of this model, and the paper citation is also there. So that is, as a researcher point of view, that is very good thing. You know that this method is coming from this author and this is the work. So you can go back, read the paper, and then you can see that implementation, and you can also use in your work. So that is one thing. Faster. So most of scikit-learn ecosystem have been based upon SciPy and NumPy. So both are like Python library and very fast and efficient for numerical computation. So that bring automatically to scikit-learn also, it's make it faster, and it is built on Python ecosystem. So Python ecosystem means they have lots of library. So if you want to do data processing, then you have NumPy, Pandas. If you want to upload image or figure from bar chart to plot or to ROC diagrams, from minimal to advanced kind of diagram, then you have your matplotlib. So likewise, if you have to do scientific calculation, you have SciPy library. So the Python ecosystem around machine learning is very rich. So that's why when you use again for machine learning a scikit Python based library, then you can take benefit of all this library. So that is one benefit for using scikit-learn. So so again in scikit-learn, as I said, mostly 5 function. It's very simple. So it is true for all kind of training and testing. You load the data. Either you are using your own data or you are using free known data set. You can load your data using NumPy, Panda, or even scikit-learn also have data set loader. So you can load your data using Panda. You can pre-process and everything you can do. Pre-processing is second step where after loading your data, you can just pre-process with all this library. Then once you have, you just create a model, initiate model like object oriented. So everything is class, every model is a class in scikit-learn. So suppose decision tree, so it will be something. Naming is also consistent. Decision tree will be like uppercase, lowercase name, and then you can just say classifier, you can say decision. This is just a variable. CLF is just a variable, but most of time people use CLF as a classifier. If it is supervised learning, you can also use, or you can use decision tree DT. So if you have multiple model, then that is naming convention will help. So that is just a variable. Object creation, we are creating a object of model name. So suppose if I am using decision tree, then I will say CLF is equal to decision tree. If I am using random forest, then I will say classifier is equal to random forest, and then random forest model will be created. So once we have created that object of any kind of classifier, or if you are using unsupervised then clustering, then we can just call fit function. Every object have this fit function. So for fit function, for supervised, you have pass at least two, that is your x, y, input and output. X is your input vector and y is your output vector, that is your class. If it is unsupervised, say suppose clustering, or say suppose feature reduction PC or anything you are applying, then just you have to pass the x. So most of time x and y will be kind of numpy array. So numpy ND multi-dimensional numpy array, even Panda data frame also you can pass. So this will be a ND array in numpy. So if any error is there, you can just go back in your numpy and you can perform. Say suppose there is some missing value, you can just do some processing in numpy. Or if you want to rescale your value, say suppose age and income both are different value. Age will be maximum from 0 to 100 and income will be from 30,000 to 40,000. Both are having a very different scale, so you have to rescale those value. So if you want to do, just go back to numpy where you have loaded your data and reprocess in your, again come back, pass your x and y. So this is very simple and it is consistent throughout all the models. So you don't have to remember any new function or new port. It will be same for all kind of model. Fit function, classifier, declare the classifier. If it is decision tree, it will train a decision tree. If it is random forest, it will train a random forest. If you have call support vector machine, SVM, then it will fit. This, even this line will be same throughout the model. Just you have to change the model and you can just train different models. So that's now very easy. And then after doing all this training, if you want to evaluate, there is something called a score function that will give you the accuracy of your function on based upon the test data that I will explain. So this is also same, and there are some other function also to have better result of your model. And then you can also save and load model. So save model is making model persistent. So once you have trained, you cannot give this trained model to me if you have not saved that model. So if you have trained some model, you have to save that model. So scikit-learn come with some external library, and internally also you can have. So you can save your model, and you can just like how you share your binary file, image file, or audio file. Similarly, you can share your trained model. Again, once I will get your model, I will just load that model. So I don't have to do all this process. I will just load the model, and I again take the input, convert, and again I can pass to this model, and I can use as a product or something. So I will try to have all this step in detail one by one throughout the session. So this is also one very interesting cheat sheet from scikit-learn itself. So if you have starting, if you have more than 50 sample, what you will do? If you have less, then again get more data. So it's clearly like in normal methods, research methodology, we say 30 is a small data set and more than 30 is large data set. But in machine learning, let's start with at least 50 sample. If you don't have 50, try to collect more data. If you have 50, then what you want to do. Category, yes. Then if it is category means it is super classification, then you can go this way. So label data, supervised learning, unlabeled data, unsupervised learning. If it is not category, if it is quantity, that is your prediction. It means regression. Again, this way. So this is very good chart. It is available with scikit-learn. So it will help you to understand how and what method we can use. So this is just a cheat sheet. You can just type it. So now I will start one by one. So data is very important, so I have put more importance to data loading. So test processing. So once this is one of the most popular data that we process in data science or machine learning. So there are many things we can do: information retrieval, we can do machine translation from one language to another language. I have been using machine translation to survive now, so it's very important. So machine learning, information extraction, and we can do question answering, like giving the, if you now search on Google, if it is something like direct question, Google try to give you direct answer. If you say what is the capital of India, sorry, then the answer will be Delhi. Earlier it was just showing all the content matching with your search term. Now Google try to give you reply as a question and answer. If it is full frame question, then it will try to give you answer. So those, there are, instead of, like, this is just 5 example, there are many example where you can use test processing. So let's move. So test processing. So for test processing, now we need features. So as I was explaining in earlier diagram, everything have to be converted into some feature vectors. So these two paper, I will share this PPT. So these two, I have just put 2 survey paper where they have given all different kind of text feature that is being used in research. Some of the test features were like used with traditional. So there is something called now machine learning. We call traditional machine learning, and we say modern machine learning or deep learning. So deep learning, the feature set is totally now different from the earlier. So earlier we have something called bag of word, where we count the frequency of the word in the text. Then we come to from word to back, where we try to embed 1 or 2 word, and then now in deep learning we have totally different kind of feature like word and all. These are like transformer. Those have changed the concept. So what you have to do, if you have to get started, you have to start with the traditional one. So I have just put these 2 review paper where all this text feature have been used, listed very properly. So if you see this is like non-deep learning base. We have something called word frequency, we use information gain, and then we have fusion method also, where we use gain, and then these are some of the deep learning based feature. Now we have, these all are the deep learning model, and they have different way of extracting feature from the text. It is not about any task. Whenever you are using text, how you are extracting your feature, so there are different method of doing that. So test pre-processing. So we do many test pre-processing you can do depending upon your task and what are the data source. You have to do many text processing. Maybe some task will not be in your standard library, like scikit-learn will not have some method that you have to perform your data, but there are standard thing that you have to do. So for that you have to tokenization, removing unnecessary functionation. These are like these are very standard pre-processing thing. All the library will have this, but sometimes you have to write your own script or code to do the pre-processing. For example, you have collected some data from social media or some other source. Now maybe there will be some mistake in your script or some mistake in scraping or collecting the data. So all this correction of data, it will not be in your library, because that is not written for all kind of problem. So for a standard pre-processing, that will be available. For raw data, to clean the raw, it is called cleaning also, data cleaning. So clean your data, most of time you have to write your own a smaller script also. So that's why Python ecosystem will help you. So for text processing or pre-processing or cleaning, these 3 things will be very useful. NLTK, this is again Python library, where it is called natural language toolkit. It is very in-depth text processing. You can do all kind of text processing, and if you want to collect the data, then you can use Python, request, and beautiful. So I have added some example for both. So I think I have been speaking for more time, so I will just try to show some demo and then I will move to next
Excuse me, sir.
set. So
Your voice is not
give me
audible,
1 second.
sir. It's too low. Sir, your presentation is not efficient. Sorry.
Okay, so this is for text. Can anyone see, and you can tell, can you see my Jupyter notebook?
Yes, sir. We can see.
Hello?
Yes, sir.
Hello?
Yes, sir, it's visible.
Yeah. So this is Jupyter notebook. So I have to do lots of things because this was in Linux machine. So now, if you see, you have to install your NLTK if you want to do hands-on. If you have installed scikit-learn and you have Python installation, then you can start a Jupyter notebook and you can do this experiment. So if you want to follow along, you can use Jupyter notebook. This is the command to open your Jupyter notebook. It will work if you have installed Anaconda or any full-fledged Python distribution. So otherwise I will just demonstrate from here. So
Sir, your voice is too low, sir. Participants couldn't hear. It is not audible.
let me change my mic. Can you hear me now? Hello?
Sir.
Yeah. So yeah, so you have to install your source. If you want to follow this tutorial, you can also use this link. I will just paste into this one, or I can just demonstrate. So you have to install your NLTK package. So once you have installed NLTK package, import the package and then you can download the data. So as you said that, as I was saying that in NLTK you need lots of previous data sets. So if you see this one, we have lots of pre-trained data set available with NLTK. So once you have installed, so pip install NLTK and then import your NLTK package and then download nltk.download. So it have on downloader, it will open something like this. So this is all the corpora if you have test, and then models, this have pre-built models, so you can select either all or you can download one by one. So once you have this NLTK ready, then you can move to next thing. So import NLTK. Now I was saying tokenizing. So once you have text, you can just first step will be this thing will not be passed to machine learning algorithm. So you have to split it into words or tokens. So for that, this is very simple with your tokenizer. You can just use token word tokenizer. So suppose I want to tokenize this word. So for that you have to use this function from NLTK, and then I will just run this. So just import this, tokenize this. So now what happens? It's just broken all the words, the quick brown. So every word is now individual word. So this is also you can call feature, but this is there are lots of pre-processing you have to do. So there is one pre-processing called a stop word. So a stop word is like the, is, all these words have very less meaning in making some classification on other work. So we have to remove those words. So NLTK come with pre-install a stop word. So you can use that, download the stop word, but you can also add. So this is once we have tokenized everything, you can do the for the comment also. I will share this notebook with participants, so you can do in this lab time or after this session. And once you have this stop word, now I have taken this stop word. So if you see English stop word, they have multilingual support also. So these are the basic stop word come with NLTK. So this is nothing but a set. If you have learned Python yesterday, so this stop word is a set object where all this should be unique. So now this is your English stop word. As I said, you can also improve your or add a stop word according to your needs. So suppose I want my name as a stop word to be included. Depending upon your research choice or research problem, you can have your own separate stop words in this library, or you can add. Simple, it is a set, nothing very difficult. It is a set Python object, so you can just add as many as a stop word you want to that stop word variable. So I have added my name, so this is added to a stop word list. Now from previous token that we have broken a sentence into token. So if I want to remove the stop word, I will just, so this is again list comprehension where what we are saying. So take all the words in token for W in tokens. So this is just a loop, and then only keep those words that is not in a stop word, if not in a stop word. So this is the syntax you will be seeing in all the pre-processing thing. This is called list comprehension, where you try to have loop and condition in one line. So this is keeping code short. So this part is your conditional part, where we are just saying those words which are in a stop word just don't include into this token. So once this loop will be over, we will have something. So this is without a stop word, this is with a stop word, and then this is without a stop word. If you see here, one problem is there, the uppercase. In a stop word, everything is in lowercase, whereas in our text we have uppercase. So now this have to be a research decision or your pre-processing decision, because first upper letter have some significant in many problem, like it is showing some different kind of nouns and everything. So if you want to keep it or not, if you don't want to keep, then you can just, what you can do in previous step itself, you can minimize or you can just lowercase your old text, so it can be filtered out. So this just have to decide by yourself. Then this is tokenizer and then a stop word. So this is just a demo of two things we are doing, just tokenizing our sentence and removing the stop word. Then NLTK also provide lots of streamers. What is stream? So in every English word, like we say read and reading. So read is the stream main word, and then when we put ing, it becomes a different word. So for machine learning, most of earlier thing, we don't want this kind of word as a separate word, so we have a streamer. So now you see these are three kind of available here. There are many more also. So this is again coming from research. So someone Porter have proposed there a streamer. So all these are available in this. So syntax is very simple. NLTK is your main library, a stream is your package, and then we want to have Porter, a streamer. So a stream Porter. So we will just again see, this is the similar syntax, class name, camel case, Porter, and a streamer. This will be applicable. If you don't know what will be this one, so just you can just guess full name and the same thing. So just creating the object Porter, and this is the class we are just calling, and now this variable will be, if it is a machine learning model, similar syntax will be there. So throughout machine learning, you will come across all things are object, This is object-oriented Python programming. So you just create an object porter, and now you can just pass token to this stream.append, and I am passing that function to this. So porter have a streaming function. It will take all the token, and then according to their algorithm, they will remove. So this is, I have created a list where I am passing all the token to this porter object, calling their stream function, passing every individual token to it, and then again appending to this new list. So I have printed both previous one and new one. So if you see this, I have just make it lowercase, and the change comes here in jump. Jumps become jump. There are issue with a streamer. That's why there are different type of a streamer. Lazy, they have become this, just they strip the y and they put I. So this is wrong. So that's why you have to decide which kind of porter you have to, a streamer you have to use. So this is one example. So just to see another one, I have also put Leinster streamer. So same syntax. As I said, you don't have to make many changes in code. So if you see, once you have understand one function, mostly it will be same. So I just try to keep the same syntax. Again, I have just initialized with another kind of a streamer. This code, if you see, this is just I have changed this variable to a stream. Otherwise, all other code is same, because the syntax is throughout consistent. So that's help us to apply and use different kind of method. So in this, if you see, it also reduce the it make lowercase, and then it's correctly make jumps to jump. So these are the difference between two type of streamer. So now when you are doing your implementation, you have to think what kind of a streamer you have to use and how you can. So once you have sure with this one, then you can just find out any library they have this method or not. Some library will have, some will not have. So just someone asked me to run the code. I was there, so I will just start running the code. Yeah, so this is the stop word, and then I have added this stop word and just running the code because someone asked me to run it. So I'm just adding this uppercase. Now I have imported this, running that both the streamer.
Dr. Ajit.
So this all code is running. I will
Dr.
share
Ajit.
this Jupyter
Ajit
notebook.
Kumar.
I have shared the link from multiple tutorial that I have consolidated in one. So one problem you have to when you are
Sir, just a minute, sir.
Excuse me,
doing
sir.
any tutorial, if you are adopting any tutorial from internet, two things is very important. You have to always keep the version same. If you are using Python version that is using tutorial,
Sir?
and your version is different, there can be some issues. So sometimes you will find you have taken some tutorial and the code is
Dr.
not
Ajit.
running. So
Dr.
you have
Ajit.
to be very careful on what are the version in your code and
Sir?
the tutorial
Excuse
written.
me,
So
sir.
I try to reduce all this error and I have put it here. So now comparing both a streamer one by one. So just run some word. So word is friend, it will be same, friendship. So in this it's make friend, in this they just keep friendship. So this is just how two different streamer works. If you want to propose, if you are from linguistic background, if you want to propose some new streamer that have like really find out the root word of any word, then that will be good. And there are many. This is just two variant, and you can find in NLTK library there is more. Some new library also is there, so you can use that also. So this is three pre-processing. We have just broken the sentence into token. Then we have just removed the stop words, and then I try to remove the extra unnecessary part, and we just try to focus on a stream word of every word. So now after that we have feature extraction. So feature extraction again is converting this whole thing into some kind of feature whatever you have decided. So for this problem, what we can do, we can have this dataset, IMDb dataset. You can download from this link. I will just after this talk I will share this this thing, so you can just use this one, and then when we come back, we can just try to see how we can load. So if you see, I have just done the same thing. I will just explain this code. So again, OS. So OS is important library. Sometime in code, you will not have OS library, then you cannot read file onto your local machine. So OS is, if you are touching anything into your operating system, you have to import your OS. Panda is for loading your data, and I have this folder. I have downloaded this data and I have kept into this folder name. Then it have, this is sentiment. Just a minute, I will just, I know.
Sir,
Yeah, it has been informed. Participants, it has
Actually,
been
I'm
informed.
just sorry for this uh, constant interruption. Actually, I'm not in my system, so I'm little uncomfortable in a new machine and headphone. That's why the sound is very low. So I will try to uh, get rid of this thing in break time. So we have some more time. So I will just explain a streaming again. Someone asked in chatting. So what is a streaming? What we do? We take, if you see this example. So if you see this example, so if you have these all words in your data feature, these 4 words, this all like friend, friendship, friends, friendships. So this word having, maybe in English it have different meaning and relationship, but when we do for machine learning, they treat it like it is something about friendship concept. So better to get rid of this different form of word, like one word have different forms. So in a streaming, what we try to do, we try to get the root word, every word having their, like friendship, friend is the root word, jump is the root word. So you try to get the root word of every word, and this is very difficult task if you have large corpora. So there, for that reason, there are many, every natural language processing, they have this kind of a streamer, like this is just name of the author who have proposed. So these are different method in Porter. Mostly what they do, they just take some 3 to 5 characters from last, and it's try to strip from there. So that is one method. Lancaster have proposed different kind of a streamer. So Snowball have different kind of method to stream. The purpose is same, to get the root word of every word. The method is different. So when you do the research on natural language processing, you will come across this one. That's why I'm not going that detail of method. I'm just trying to do the practical how you will do. So I have just used 3 kind of a streamer. So NLTK package, it have all this Porter and Lancaster, every streamer is there. You can just have call this one. I have initialized that Porter, and then this token is just I'm printing without a streaming, and then this is the code where I am trying to stream the word. So for loop, this is for IT in token. So token is our list in previous where we have generated this token. So from this token, I am just looping one by one and then calling our streamer. In this case, Porter streamer I am calling, and passing our token t. So every token will come into as a variable t, and I am passing to this stream function where the root word will be extracted, and then again a new list will be generated without the appending word. So these are the output. This first line is without a streaming, and second line is with the streaming we are doing. So mostly all word, this is, there is no stream because this is same word, root word. Changes is there. So in this streamer, this is Porter. Porter just make uppercase to lowercase. This is one kind of a streamer. And if there is like SES, they just remove. If it is ES also, they will just remove and try to get. In this case, this method works. But in this case, this is not. So this is the error. But Porter, a streamer do that thing. So if it is not suitable to your problem, you can avoid that. This was early when they have proposed. So from this is one kind of a streaming. Then we have different streamer that is proposed by Lancaster. So in NLTK, this is again implemented. So just create that streamer as an object, the same code. This is, I am just showing the difference. So I am printing the previous tokens, and then after streaming using Lancaster, I am again printing. So in this case, if you see, it also reduce lower uppercase to lowercase, but in this lazy thing, it's find it correctly. So this is the difference between these two streamers. So that's how you will be using. So now I have also tried to give more example where I have used more words like friend, friendship, friends, friendships, stabilize, misunderstanding, railroad, moonlight, and football. So in this, if you see Porter streamer here and Lancaster output here. So in this football, they found that L is like a extra word. So they tried to find out the root word. This is wrong, where this both fell. But in friend, this word, this Lancaster is performing better than this Porter. There are other also. So you can try, and you can also propose if you are working in this text analysis, then you can also propose new kind of a streamer. So the takeaway is here in NLTK package, all the tools or all the methods available for pre-processing or cleaning your data. So you just have to find out which one you want to use. If you are building something, if you are doing some research on this streaming or any method, then you propose your own and try to compare with the existing method. So that's how we do. So this I think I can stop here, and then in if you have any question I can take, and in break time I will try to return to my own system where my audio and everything will be properly. This Webex was mute, so this all problem happens. So yeah, I can take question, and then we can break for, then we can go for break. Yeah.
Participants,
Okay.
participants, do you have any queries?
Hello.
Excuse me, I have one question. Hello,
Proceed.
can you
Yes,
hear me, sir?
please proceed. Yes, we could hear you. You please proceed.
This after pre-processing the given data set, we would like to have the vectorization of the raw text data after that pre-processed one. And
Hello.
we have different methods for doing that. So which is to be chosen for doing that conversion, vectorization?
Hello.
Hello. Yeah, I can hear you, sir.
Is anyone there? Hello.
Dr. Ajit, one question is being
Sir, can you hear
asked
me?
by participant Rajalakshmi. Could you hear the question? No, I think he could not hear the question.
We'll make it in chat session.
So I was saying if there is any question I can take. Otherwise, organizer, can you break for taking
Maybe,
tea break or something was scheduled?
No.
So we can go early and we can again
Sir,
join
we
back
have a
by
question.
11 o'clock.
I think there is a problem in the connection. Maybe we will break now. At what time is the break?
It's 11 o'clock.
So while starting, and when we have to, the next session starts at what
We
time?
should resume by 11:30.
Okay. As soon as we resume by 11:30, all the questions let us take up first, then he can proceed. Or
Okay,
shall
ma'am.
we join by 11:15? Is it possible? I think he could not hear our questions. So once if he changes his system, then we will do it. So shall we join again by 11:15? All the participants have to say yes or no. Or the question we have to type now as one of the participant is suggesting. He could not actually hear. He's not able to hear our audio. That's what I think. Am I right?
Yes, ma'am. He couldn't hear.
Ajit? Okay, then I'll call him and I'll inform him. Okay. Habiba,
Yes, ma'am.
please coordinate at what time we have to resume everything you decide and you tell so that the participants will join with us.
Okay, ma'am.
Yeah, at 11:15. Yes.
Okay.
You please. I like that you please break now. I'll call him and I'll inform.
Okay, then I think I am not hearing from participants and we can break and again we can join back at scheduled time and then I can take question. Meantime, I will try to set up our machine. Okay, thank you.
Hello.